Get ready for a revelation that will change everything you believe about life and death. Imagine standing before doctors and scientists who state with 100% certainty that death is inevitable. Now imagine that some of these same scientists began to deeply investigate something that humanity has been trying to answer since the beginning of time. What happens after the heart stops beating? Is there consciousness beyond the body? Is there life after death? Today I'm going to tell you the remarkable journey of a man who grew up surrounded by brilliant minds and laboratories, but who decided to delve into the deepest mystery of human existence. This man is Jeffrey Long, an oncologist and researcher who analyzed thousands of accounts of people who came close to death and came back. His conclusions? Nothing short of astonishing. 99% of cases point to the existence of life after death. Throughout his career, Long has gathered evidence that goes far beyond emotional stories. He built a solid foundation of evidence, catalogued experiences, interviewed cardiac arrest survivors, and cross-referenced data with scientific precision. The result is a fascinating puzzle that challenges everything conventional medicine believed. Jeffrey Long was no ordinary curious person. The son of a Nobel Prize nominee and a member of a family of respected scientists, he grew up breathing science. From an early age, he learned to look at facts objectively and analyze every detail from a logical perspective. But even then, something began to call him beyond the material world. It all began in 1984, when he stumbled upon a scientific journal reporting a bet between two researchers about the nature of near-death experiences. Cardiologist Michael Sabom had collected more than 100 reports from patients who, after cardiac arrest, claimed to have seen and heard things impossible to perceive clinically. For Sabom, consciousness separates from the body, which he considered the soul itself, leaving matter. But scientist Richard Blacker harshly criticized this hypothesis, attributing it all to the effects of a lack of oxygen to the brain. This debate intrigued Long. He tried to forget, but the topic seemed to haunt him. In 1994, during lunch at a friend's house, he met Sheila, a doctor who had undergone something extraordinary. During heart surgery, her heart stopped due to a reaction to the anesthesia. At that moment, Sheila described finding herself in a place of intense light, full of peace, where she felt an inexplicable love. Upon returning, she tried to tell her doctor, but received cold reactions and even reprimands. For Long, that conversation was the trigger. Starting in 1998, he decided to investigate systematically. Over 2 decades of work, he collected more than 1,300 cases of near-death experiences. He administered questionnaires with 100 questions to understand patterns and discover if there were common elements. What he found was a set of 9 pieces of evidence that consistently point to the existence of an afterlife. Among Long's most striking findings, he identified that people in clinical death, with their brains devoid of electrical activity, still reported lucid perceptions, vivid visions, and even dialogues that occurred while they were unconscious. Some described colors so vivid they had never seen them in ordinary life. Others spoke of an absolute silence, impossible to find on Earth, as if they were immersed in an ocean of peace. Another intriguing aspect was the 360 vision, where the person felt as if they could see in all directions at once. There are also reports of people floating above their own bodies, observing doctors and nurses in detail, and then describing everything accurately. Skeptics often challenge these accounts, but Long assures that the information gained from these experiences is far more accurate than any ordinary memorization attempt. Furthermore, many participants reported watching a kind of life movie, reliving each moment, but now also feeling the emotions of the other people involved. Another striking finding: people born blind reported seeing for the first time during these experiences. There are also cases in which very young children described encounters with deceased relatives they never met, but whose characteristics and stories were later confirmed. For Jeffrey Long, all of this is too compelling to ignore. He asserts that he has no doubt. Life does not end with physical death. For him, these discoveries are an invitation to live with more love, courage, and purpose, knowing that our journey doesn't end when our bodies stop breathing. And so, a scientist accustomed to working with diagnostics and statistics became a messenger of hope, and perhaps for some, living proof that the end may be just the beginning. Jeffrey Long's research isn't just about moving stories. It's a veritable dossier of evidence that challenges logic, medicine, and the very notion of reality. By gathering thousands of accounts from people who went and returned, he shows us that death may not be the end, but rather the gateway to a new stage of existence. If this story touched you, don't keep it to yourself. Share this content right now with someone who needs hope. Leave a comment telling us what you believe, and if you want to delve deeper, keep following our next investigations into humanity's greatest mystery. Because in the end, maybe life doesn't end with death, but death is just the first chapter of something eternal.